Every single culture that's ever existed has invented a god of the dead. And here's the thing that'll break your brain. They're all describing the same job, the same throne, the same cosmic function, just in wildly different costumes. Look, you've got Ereshkigal in ancient Sumer, ruling the dark earth beneath everything. Mictlantecuhtli in Aztec cosmology, skeletal and crowned, presiding over the lowest layer of existence. Hades in Greece, Hel in Norse tradition. These cultures were separated by oceans and thousands of years. They never shared notes. And yet they all arrived at the same cosmic architecture. One sovereign, one realm beneath, one set of rules that nobody breaks. Now here's what we get wrong immediately. These aren't villains. They're not evil. They're neutral. Bound by cosmic lore in a way that even the sky gods aren't. Most of them are depicted as reluctant rulers, doing a job nobody else wants but somebody has to do. Because the underworld isn't hell. It's not punishment. It's the place where everyone goes. Kings and beggars. Heroes and cowards. The warrior and the thief end up in the same queue. Which means these gods aren't punishers, they're keepers of the ultimate equalizer. Death doesn't care about your resume. And neither do they. They are administrators of the one border everyone crosses, the one kingdom with no exceptions. That's not mythology. That's something way older, and way more true. Before the Greeks wrote a single word about Hades, before Egypt carved Osiris into stone, there was Ereshkigal. She ruled the Sumerian underworld, a place called Ker, and her story with her sister Inanna might be the oldest death and return myth we still have. We're talking cuneiform tablets. Clay pressed with reeds. Thousands of years before anyone sailed to Troy. Here's what gets me. She didn't choose this. The gods divided up creation, and Ereshkigal got the underworld. Not as punishment, just our allocation. She was separated from the living world, from light, from her family. And the loneliness in those myths is crushing. She's powerful, yes, absolute sovereign of the dead, but she's also exiled. No one visits unless they're dying. No one comes willingly. Her realm has 7 gates. When you descend, each gate demands something. Your crown, your jewelry, your finest clothes. Layer by layer, you're stripped. You arrive at her throne naked, powerless, with nothing left to hide behind. Because that's what death does. It removes everything artificial, everything you thought made you important. You meet her as you actually are. Ereshkigal is the template. The first dark queen. Everyone who comes after, Persephone, Hel, the Morrigan, they're all echoing something that started with her, alone in the dark, holding court over the one kingdom no one escapes. Here's the thing about Osiris that changes everything. He's the Egyptian lord of the Duat, the underworld, but he didn't start there. He was a living god who got murdered. His brother Set tore him apart, literally dismembered him, and scattered the pieces across Egypt like some cosmic jigsaw puzzle of divine flesh. His wife Isis had to hunt down every piece and stitch him back together. That's how Osiris became king of the dead. He experienced death from the inside. That's not just mythology, that's initiation. He knows the terrain because he walked it while his body was still in pieces. And that completely reshapes what happens when you meet him in the afterlife. He's not some distant arbiter sitting on a throne parsing judgment from a place of removal. When he weighs your heart against the feather of Marat, He does it with the authority of someone who knows exactly what it costs to cross over. The Egyptians didn't see the afterlife the way we do now. Not punishment, not reward. It was continuation. Life kept going, just in a different register. And Osiris was there to make sure the cosmic order, Marat, held even in the land of the dead. Because if order could survive dismemberment and resurrection, it could survive anything. Hades has been done so dirty by modern culture it's actually wild. Thanks to Disney and 1,000 lazy retellings, he's the scheming villain, the goth bad boy, the devil figure with a grudge. But here's the thing, in actual Greek myth, Hades is almost boring in his fairness. He doesn't scheme. He doesn't meddle with mortals. He doesn't even want the job. He just does it. Perfectly. He maintains the boundary between life and death because someone has to, and he takes that responsibility with a gravity that would make other gods uncomfortable. No drama. No chaos. Just order. Hel, his Norse counterpart, got an even worse deal. Daughter of Loki, born with a face half living, half corpse, Odin took one look at her and said absolutely not. He cast her into the Underworld because he feared what she represented. But Hel? She didn't rage. She didn't plot revenge. She took the job seriously. She rules over those who died of illness, of old age, of quiet, unremarkable deaths, and she does it with cold, absolute order. No exceptions. No favoritism. Just the lore. Both of them share this one truth that people miss. They don't want your soul. They're not collecting. They're not punishing. They're just the ones who make sure you stay where you belong once you've crossed over. Because without that boundary, without someone holding the line between the living and the dead, the entire cosmos collapses into chaos. They're not villains. They're the load-bearing walls of reality itself. Now here's where it gets really interesting. The Aztecs had Mictlantecuhtli, the Lord of Mictlan, the deepest level of their underworld. And when I say deepest, I mean the 9th layer down. This guy's depicted exactly how you'd expect a death god to look. Blood-spattered skeleton, necklace made of human eyeballs, grinning skull-crowned in darkness. He's genuinely terrifying. But here's the thing that'll shift your understanding completely. Mictlan wasn't hell. It wasn't where the wicked went. It was just where you went. The default destination. If you didn't die in battle, if you weren't struck by lightning, if you didn't die in childbirth or sacrifice, you went to Mictlan. It took for years to get there. For years of your soul wandering through trials and rivers and obsidian mountains. And at the end, Mictlantecuhtli was waiting. Not to punish you. Just to receive you. He and his wife Mictlantecuhtli were the guardians of bones. The keepers of what remained. And this is where it gets cosmically heavy. In some versions of the myth, humanity itself was rebuilt from the bones they guarded. Quetzalcoatl descended into Mictlan, stole those bones, and used them to create the 5th world, our world. Meaning death isn't the opposite of life in Aztec thought. Death is the raw material. The substance everything living is built from. That's not punishment. That's the foundation. Here's the thing that gets me every single time. Every one of these gods, Hades, Hel, Anubis, Ereshkigal, Mictlantecuhtli, they're all bound. They can't leave. They don't get to come upstairs for the party. Hades barely gets to see sunlight. Hel stays in her frozen hole. Ereshkigal is trapped in her own kingdom. They accepted eternal isolation so the rest of the world could keep turning. They took the loneliest job in existence and they stayed. That's not cruelty. That's sacrifice. And honestly, it's heartbreaking. They're not there to scare you. They're not monsters waiting in the dark. They're there to hold space for the one thing every single human being will experience. They're witnesses, keepers, the ones who make sure that when you cross over, someone's there. Someone knows your name. In every culture, across every continent, people understood something we've completely lost, that death needed a face. A name. Someone accountable. Modern culture tries to make death disappear. We sanitize it, medicalize it, hide it away in hospitals and funeral homes. But these gods remind us, you can't have spring without winter. You can't have meaning without ending. You can't have a story without the final page. So maybe the real question isn't why every culture invented an underworld god, it's what they all knew that we've forgotten. That death isn't the opposite of life, it's the thing that makes life mean anything at all, and someone has to hold that weight. Follow Blackfire Atelier. I'll see you in the shadows.